Okay,
So,
good.
okay,
So we're here.
okay, I'm in the chat. There it is. To you, Miss Barbara. Okay.
Got it. Let me copy it.
I'm connecting to go live.
Okay, good.
Uh, Well, I never guessed that. I probably would have put in Standing Bear. Okay, got it. Everybody's disappeared.
Oh, we did this. Okay, I'm here.
I can't, there you are.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good.
I'm still getting an echo of somebody.
Yeah, that's Shonda.
So what are we supposed to be doing tonight?
Copy.
Chandra, I can't hear you. I heard that.
No, you're good.
Good. So what?
One sec, connecting.
Yeah. So what?
One sec.
Okay, so let's talk about lineup for a second. So,
Absolutely.
do you want me to you have the questions and the reading, Shonda? You there? Okay.
Yes, connecting to Facebook.
Okay. All right.
One sec. Today. Okay, cool. One sec. Shooting it out there.
Okay. All right. All right.
Well, I have interesting news for you.
Oh yeah.
We're waiting, yeah. I had been told my whole life that my mother was half Cherokee, but I had no proof of it. And so I went online and I got a DNA, and I am Cherokee. I'm
Wow.
Irish, Cherokee, and Hunka Lakota. So,
Wow.
but I thought that was interesting that I finally, although I don't look native, at least I'm legal now.
Good. Okay. Good.
Yeah, they can't call me Washishu anymore. Oh,
Yeah. Good for you. Congratulations. That's
I
beautiful. That's beautiful.
yeah, it's the older you get, the more sense of humor you get about everything.
Right.
So, so talk to me about, are you going to wait till more get on and talk about your new book?
My book? I thought we were talking about your book.
We are, but I thought you might want to say something too, because I really love your book.
Sure. Yeah. Talk about the central dynamics of it, and really how it flows in, because everybody sees what like the end part of it, right? Like when they open it up, and that's the last part of a very, 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 very long line of how it was received
Right.
and how we listen to. So I think if we drive the conversation that way a little bit, I think that would be, because each one of the stories is an individual story, right? Yeah, that's the story before the story, right? The book is the end product of all the stories and chapters and verses before that, right? So tears included, right? So so it's not as easy as it looks, right? So people ask me how long did it take to write your book? I go 54 years.
Yeah. How old are you? 40?
I'm 54 years old.
Mhm.
I just turned 54 last April, so it took me 54 years old, 54 years to write this book.
If my daughter was here, she'd be 69.
So,
So
yeah.
I just, I have to laugh. Sometimes this weekend I had a group of women, and it's very interesting to me because, they all say they want to learn and et cetera, et cetera. So I told them, you come and we're going to garden for 2 hours and then I'll share with you. And then, then we'll go back and garden again. So
Yeah.
7 people showed up.
Okay.
That it was wonderful. It was incredible.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
They figures, they really had deep questions. It was just incredible.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I'd rather have one person that had big ears and was open
Yeah.
than, you know,
Yeah. Right. Then the tourist population, right.
right.
Yeah. The tourists out there that just want to grab what we know and then own it for themselves, right? Yeah. There's no work involved. Listening involves your work. It's involved getting your answer. While walking on the land.
Yeah. I talk
Sitting
about,
in a place of tears. Yeah, sitting in that place of tears. You can't think to yourself in out of trauma.
no,
You
no,
can't think to yourself into healing. It's just not going to happen.
and of course, I was out on the reservation and my training was under Fool's Crow and Grandpa Catches and Grandpa Dubray and the old others, and they're
Yeah.
not gentle with their teaching. They are not gentle, and you don't ask questions. And I remember that, and I'm not sure it's in the book or not, but it had Grandpa had agreed to serve dinner at the gathering that we were having
Yeah.
there on Pine Ridge and out there. And so we had just put the buffalo in and we had just put the bone in and all the foods.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I would have gave anything for that, man. That is awesome.
Yeah.
so he came over at noon and
Uh-huh.
he said, granddaughter, he says, there's nobody to serve lunch. We're going to serve lunch. And I said, but he put up his hand and he said, don't say another word. I want you over there to serve lunch. So we had one great big can of fruit cocktail.
Uh-huh.
We had one thing of wojapi. We had the soup that was not cooked yet, and we had one wine. So we took it over there and we served everybody, and the elders bring their coffee cans with the wire on the top to take their dinner home. We
Oh, wow.
filled all the coffee things.
Yeah.
we got all done, there was about a cup of now remember, we just had one big can of fruit cocktail, and there were 400 people there. So when
Wow.
we were done, there was about a half a cup of fruit cocktail. There was a quarter of the watermelon. There was the soup was still half full, and
Wow.
still had plenty of washapi. And so he
Mm.
looked at me and he said, you know, that one that came before, he said that he fed all of the
Oh.
people with a few fishes. And that's all he said. But Grandpa never was a medicine man or a shaman or anything.
Mhm.
Never. He said, I am a hollow bone, period.
But
Wow. Welcome, Jenny. Okay, guys, it's 5 o'clock. What I was doing, I'm sorry, I was trying to get all this posted and I had to have several pages open. So that's why it was messing up. I do have my tobacco and my smudge ready. I'll see if my camera may go ahead and work, long enough to do that. If you want me to
okay.
start the
If you want
meeting
me to
and
do it, that's fine. Yeah,
huh?
if you want me to do it, that's fine. You open the smudge and pray.
Whatever you want to do, we can do it together and you can pray, whatever you would
Okay.
like. I just, it's 5 o'clock. So I want to stick with what you said, started in a good way. And then
Yeah,
we have some readings to read grandmother Barbara about her fantastic book and we'll go
Okay.
on from there, but we'll go ahead and get started. Let me
Okay. All right.
see.
Okay. Wonderful. Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. Tobacco first,
Smudge first.
smudge first. Okay. I was wrong on that one. Okay. And after we smudge tobacco or
Yeah, smudge first. Smudge the
okay.
yeah, smudge yourself and medicine. And, yeah, yeah.
All righty. Begin in a good way. The smoke go up.
Oh, good.
Then we'll offer tobacco. Kitchumanichu, Chimegwich. Chimegwich Mother Earth. Chimegwich Flying Nation. Chimegwich Standing Nation. All right, standing pair. Did you want to pray or
Yeah, I can open up with a prayer. Yeah, good.
okay. Or whatever you want to do with the
Welcome.
flute or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. We'll open up the space with a little prayer.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for smudging and thank you for all those who are out there. Thank you for joining us. We come here, we offer ourselves in a good way. We come here and offer. We talk about life, talk about how to connect to that good life, talk about our stories in a good way. And then, it was anonymous. Chi Megwich, Chichi, Manitou. Creator, Great Spirit, Great Mystery. Thank you for this day. Thank you. Thank you for our breath. Thank you for our circle. Thank you for our sunrise. Thank you for our life. We come here today. We mean no harm in what we do. We come here in a good way, a holy way, sacred way. We come in here to remember the words and the prayers of the grandmothers, words and prayers of the grandfathers, the words and prayers of the ancestors, and the words and prayers of the next 7 generations, the unborn. We come here to do a little better than we did yesterday. Come in here to make good relations, to be a good relative to all those beautiful things that bring us life. We come in here to connect to this world and natural law and the universe. We come here to protect life, to bring peace to this place. We come in here to remember the 7 grandfathers from the stars. We come in here and we remember all nations, circles, and tribes, especially those nations, circles, and tribes that do not look like the two-legged. And most of all, we come here to remember that beautiful place that connects us all, the first prayer and the first light at the center of the universe. We come here and that prayer says there will be no lies between us, and that we will remember to use good words. So Creator, Great Spirit, we are grateful for this time and grateful for this circle, grateful for the hearts that we will touch. We are grateful for our guest, Grandmother Barbara. We are grateful for our host, Shonda Mitchell. We are grateful for all those who are sitting out and listening to these good words. We are grateful for you, and we are happy that you have come. To all my relations, I hope I have. Hi. Back to you. Back to you, Shonda.
Well, Grandmother Barbara, you made an incredible, your writings are incredible. Like, I mean, you're definitely a writer. I know everybody has a book in them, but you have a beauty with words. Yeah. And I guess one of the questions that I have for you, first off the bat, is why you named it your book, Beyond Imagination.
Ooh.
Well, you don't ask small questions, do you? Because Spirit told me to, and because Spirit asked me to write the book and gave me the title. And although, like Standing Bear, I had traveled all over this planet, Spirit picked the particular places that I was to write about, because I've been to almost every country on this planet and always ended up with indigenous people. So Spirit also said in the first part of the book, which is about the trauma that I went through in my life and who I was as a child, and my mother being schizophrenic. By the way, I'm getting to your answer. That was written so that people with trauma can understand that it's more than just forgiving. It's honoring those challenging people and animals, etc., in your life that help you grow. So if I said, I would like to understand all people, then why wouldn't I have a mother who had 4 personalities and was schizophrenic and alcoholic and on drugs, right? And yet, when I was in that hospital room with her and she was dying, and I looked up and I said, please forgive her. I don't want her to suffer. And I heard an audible voice that said, how dare you forgive her? And I went, what? And they said, you get down on your knees and you bless her and you thank her, for she was the greatest teacher you will ever have. And that's the day I got freedom, that I understand that if you listen to Spirit and Spirit comes into your life, no matter what you experience, it's a gift. And that's your choice, is to listen to Spirit. So that's why that first chapter, which seems to be a little out of sync from the others, is about. The other chapters are about trusting spirit. For instance, I mentioned in the book that I got a free ticket in the mail with no return address to go to Mexico. And I didn't say, who is this from or what? I just said, okay, let's go to Mexico. So whatever's put in front of me, I know that spirit has my best interest and spirit is directing me. And so I do it. I don't question. I don't say, well, should I do this? Is it practical? How do I feel about it? I just know that spirit's put it there, so I'm going to do it, period. So then the experiences are mine, but the book is actually a lot of it written by spirit. And the things that spirit picked, the stories, the experiences I had, are really about beyond imagination, because if I had not gone through them, I couldn't have imagined that weird of stuff ever happening to me. I mean, it was, if you've read the book, and I know a couple of you have, that it, you know, a lot of people have asked me, is this really the truth? Yeah, it is the truth, because in each trip, I had someone with me that could verify that this happened. In other words, I was not alone. And so I have the verification on that. So when the book was written, Spirit said that when you write about South Dakota and the Lakota people, then every word in that chapter has to vibrate on the frequency of that culture. So we went through that first chapter and with Spirit's help, changed different sentences and words so that they vibrated in that chapter. And so then when we went to Mexico, we did the same thing. So everything within each chapter is a different vibration, which allows you to go there and experience it rather than just writing it in English. It's not, the vibration is not an English vibration. So that's how the book was created. And then Spirit said to me, I'm going to dictate to you things to go between the chapters. I want you to put your name under it, but Spirit wrote it. And I'd like to read you one, because they are portals, meaning that when you read these, like I'm still reading the book, and I will take one of these, and for 7 days or 4 days, I will read it just before I go to sleep, and it opens a portal, and I have incredible experiences. So this is one of my favorite. It says, walk gently through the lives of your ancestors where time does not exist. In the stillness of your being is the center of creation. And the places that has taken me in dream time and in meditation has just been incredible. So when you ask me why I picked the title Beyond Imagination, it comes basically from things that I experienced that if I was someone other than myself, knowing I experienced, I don't know if I'd believe the person, if that makes any sense. I mean, you know, being on spaceships and seeing space beings and having Blue Star Woman come to me on my vision quest and disappearing, and these are all real. So people say to me, do you have a strong faith? And I said, no, I don't have any faith. I have experience. If I experience it, I believe it. So did that answer your question? Is she,
You
oh,
know,
I almost regret asking that because when you as Standing Bear says, when you poke the bear, when you ask a grandmother a question, you really have no idea what is going to come out but it's going to be life changing. Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Yes, to answer my question, and I don't tell people about my mom because people and a lot of experiences because they just don't believe it. But my mom was a Hell's Angel. She was everything that you said and worse about whatever labels they want to put on it. And the cruelty that a parent can do to a child, other people don't believe a lot of times because it's not their perspective. Maybe they've not been there, but that is reality. And now we're kind of at the end where she's she's almost in her 80s, and nothing has ever set with me as far as people telling me how to handle it, or you read, or like you were talking about, really really have to listen to spirit. You really have to listen to spirit, because forgiveness, like you said, I have a different perspective through different parts of my life because I got the rest of the story. But my first book was very much like yours. What about the other 90%? Because the spirit was teaching me about women and I'd never heard it before. So I understand, having these things just taught to you. But I'm very grateful for your words. And so Standing Bear has some questions for you too, but I would like to maybe read just a little bit I'm not sure what page this was. It's something that I kind of had as a note that I've been meditating on, because your words resonate in a lot of ways for me. At Sundance, a storm raced across the prairie. Mannequin gray clouds rolled across the sky. As the clouds broke open, torrents of rain and hail fell from the sky. All the sun dancers ran for their tents and teepees. Grandpa stood alone, welcoming the thunder. Beams, lightning flashed all around the Sundance tree. Transfixed by the power of the energy, I was unable to move. Grandpa was dancing with the thunder beams and praying. Then he was gone. In his place was a brilliant, multicolored egg. Colors weaved, possibilities, light danced and shimmered, calling to the storm. Suddenly, the storm stopped. The thunder beams had heard his prayer. And now it's so incredible that I'm reading that, because actually last night, my son built me a fire, and I've been connecting to a lot of the elements and the ancestors in a much different way. So I sat in a storm last night with the lightning bolts and the fire and the rain, and my soul got washed. And my soul needed that so bad. And it was a ceremony that was Kitchen Manitou prepared for me and gave me out of love. My son built the fire out of love. So what about that reading that I just read? Where were you? What were you thinking? What was going on? Like, where did that come out of?
I tend not to think. I just experience. If something is happening around me, I don't say, why is this happening or anything. I just stand there and observe and watch. Obviously what I was seeing was Grandpa's complete aura, and he wasn't there. I mean, he was, but his physical manifestation was not there. But I'll tell you, it was beautiful. It was just incredible. And here is a man that never had a bonnet on. He wore polyester navy blue pants, a white long sleeve shirt to hide the numbers from the school on his arms, and bedroom slippers. Never claimed to be anything, and yet what I saw was beyond anything I had seen from people who had claimed to be chiefs or anything. I mean, this was real. This was absolutely real. And I don't know how else to say it in that I don't question. I just don't. I know that Unchi Makat Takashila, which is the center of the earth, the mother earth, the sun Takashila, and the creator, always have my best interest at heart. And they're always there for me, no matter what it looks like. So I just sit in the middle of it and experience it. Did that answer your question? Or
Yes. Yes, because one of the things about love is you have to experience it, which I never did for a very long time. But you know, Stem is a Standing Bear. The first thing he says is, "If nobody told you they loved you today, I love you very much." And you have no idea how changing the narrative, like he tells us, change the narrative. And then he begins to teach to connect in the Red Road. So, like you're saying, these things I experienced after a year of sitting learning, and then I experienced it after a year, and there was no comparison. Absolutely no comparison.
so who taught me to connect? Well, you know what? When you're locked in closets and the door's padlocked,
Yeah.
you learn to connect.
Yeah, you do.
You learn
Sorry
to,
to laugh, but you do. You do, grandmother. You do.
yeah, you leave your body. So when I was 5 or 6 years old and locked in those closets,
Yeah.
I mean, nobody told me I couldn't, you know, and I was lucky enough to have,
I mean, because I heard you say,
go ahead.
I heard you say such a powerful, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, I heard you say I can't use your exact words, but she was the best teacher you will ever have. I've never heard it put that way, because we can't hate our mothers. It's against natural law. I mean, it's just against natural law. So there's a quandrum there. There's a constant struggle, a constant battle in protecting yourself, but at the same time, you know, being a child to the mother who screws you up. So then you're like a child in the wrong way, because I was the adult from the day I was born, you know, and that's powerful, as what you said, is your perspective changed, and it changed everything.
Yeah, I was free. I was totally free. And I understood that anything that comes into my life, I either attract it by what I say. You know, if you say life is hard, life is going to be hard, you know. And if you say every day is a joy, it's going to be a joy, no matter what's going on. So everything that comes into your life, you either create with your mouth or your prayers. You know, when I was in my 30s, I prayed and I said, I want everything that's not of love and light removed from my life. Within 7 days, I was served divorce papers. I lost my job. I crashed my car, and I lost my townhouse
I can so relate.
in 7 days. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because then I met my present husband, and we've been married 48 years, and he's an angel. But I asked for it. I mean, there aren't many things that are completely clear of love and light. And if you ask for everything to be removed that isn't of that, hang on, baby.
Yes.
So that's one thing. The other thing is it may be karmic. You know, it may be something, for instance, one of the things that I volunteered to do, and I'm talking about things that aren't in the book, so that maybe you'll read the book.
I
Anyway,
will definitely read the book.
so anyway, um, I'm sorry. I get tickled and then I choke. Cancel clear. I don't do that. My body's working in perfect order. Anyway, so I agreed to come here and train doctors. I mean, I remember doing that. Well, how are you going to train a doctor if you're not in their office? Right? So I keep getting these crazy things and ending up in the doctor's office. And, you know, after my last two major strokes, and I went to the neurologist and he says, we don't understand. You shouldn't be walking. You shouldn't be talking. You had two major strokes in your left frontal area. And I said, I understand. And he said, what? I said, I don't use that hemisphere anyway, because that's your logical, organized part of your brain. And I don't function that way. You see, but so I give them a hard time. God bless my doctors. You know, they give me all these prescriptions that I never pick. You know, I have my herbal garden, my medicine garden, and that's how I treat. And I don't go to books. The old way was to go out and if someone brought you tobacco, you took the tobacco, and then for 4 days, a lot of times you put them in the lodge, and sometimes they just went home, and then you walked the land until one of the herbs spoke to you that they were willing to do the healing. And that's what you did. Then you did the healing. You didn't go to a book and say what lowers blood pressure. You talk to those plants. Those plants are alive. We talk about that, but do we do it? Anyway, that's not it. That doesn't have anything to do with the book, but so
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate so much of that, everything. And
yeah.
I'm going to open the floor to Standing Bear because I know he is chomping at the bits to talk to you. It's all.
Well, thank you, Sandra, for taking the meeting, and thank you, Barbara. This is really beautiful and fascinating, and I'm just soaking everything in again, and so it's just a beautiful place to be. And we were talking a little bit about before the show about you know so we as a viewer, we as a reader, and this is just to percolate the perception and the perspective, right? And so and I was mentioning before the show, and we had a beautiful conversation with this. It's about how long did it take you to write the book? Because right now, as the reader and as the viewer, we're just reading the last chapter now, right? So the book is the last chapter, right? But it's so important. The narrative is so important for the viewer to understand how we got there, right? So for me, so that one question was, well, how long did it take you to write Daily Medicine? And at the time, I think I was like
It depended. It depends
40,
on 40
yeah,
of the books. So
right.
I wrote Unicorns Are Real, I was a teacher, and that was easy because I just took what I had learned about being dyslexic myself and teaching the children and put it into a book. And then so that was easy. Free Flight, which was the second book, wrote itself in 2 hours at the beach.
Mm,
So, it was dictated. Grandpa's book took almost a year because we had a week's worth of his words on tape. And so that all had to be transcribed and then edited. And then I had to send it out to make sure I had the Lakota words right. And some of the elders didn't want their names used and some of them did. And so it had to go through the council. So that was a long process. This book, it took me about 6 weeks to get the words on paper. To write the book, which is the question you're asking, to get the material to go into the book took me 80 years because, you know, I studied with Grandpa for 27. And when I went out there, as I say in the book, it was I got tricked to go out there and ended up becoming Lakota, you know. But when he put his hands on my cancerous tumor that was right here, and in 15 minutes the tumor was gone, he got my attention. So it did not matter what he asked for, regardless of what it was. And he never asked for anything, but you know, they'll call you up and they'll say, I need to go to Rapid City and my car won't run. And I would say, Grandpa, call a Trotuck. You know, there was no, but you can't ask for help, which makes it very hard for elders. And even when I teach, I can't ask for a fee because that's the way I was trained. And it's hard for some people to understand that. Even Native Americans don't understand that anymore, a lot of them. You know, they show up for a lodge, but where's the tobacco? Where's the red cloths? Where's the wood? Where's the blankets? Are you there early to put the lodge together because it has to be put together before the fire's lit? And all of that is kind of with these stories that are out of the normal reality are teaching some of that. But you know, nowadays people will show up 10 minutes before the lodge and when it's over, leave. So I just don't let them go in.
Right.
I have a place where they can go and pray. But if you can't respect those spirits, no matter what country you're in, you know, and that's the reason I read that first part about the ancestors. And that is, and I'll read it again because to understand it to its very depths, where is it? I must have taken the tag out of it, but that's all right. Here, walk gently through the lives of your ancestors where time does not exist. In the stillness of your being is the center of creation. So if you really think about the adventures I had, in each case, you know, I had to stay in that center. And, you know, men, I'm very traditional because I understand the importance of tradition, of the numerology, of the words, of the action, of the all of that, you know. And it's not out there anymore. And as because I don't look native, like I said, I am 1/4 Cherokee, but I certainly look Irish. The Irish part of me won out big time. And but I don't feel comfortable writing that book. Someone who is at least half native and has the understanding can share something like, when a woman prays, she does not start with Takashala. I said that earlier. You start with Unshi, and that's the Lakota word for the fire in the center of the earth. And then Maka, which is everything on the surface that gives us life. And then Tukashala, which is the sun, and the sun's alive. It's not just a ball of energy up there, it's alive. And then the creator. So beyond imagination is taking you out of what you think reality is. Because that's not reality. The scientists are not proving that the only way that we can exist is to lower the vibration, which means we only exist because we have been lowered the vibration from creator. Otherwise, you couldn't see each other. One of the medicine men that I met, his name was Talakia. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of him or met him, but he was from Mexico, and he was a sun dancer leader. And when it came time for him to pass, and he knew he was going to pass, he went to the Sundance tree, and the first thing he did was marry a 30-year-old. Now, he was in his late 80s, like I am. And he married a 30-year-old to take care of all of his stuff and make sure it was honored and given to the right people. Then he came down the hill and he got into bed, and he taught the sun dancers for hours. And then he looked at them and he said, "It's my time." And he took a deep breath and disappeared, because he was able to raise his vibration. So to talk about some of the things that we're talking about, the book is just, even though it says beyond imagination, it's just the beginning. I mean, if I had written some of the things that I've seen, I'd probably be in a mental institution. I wrote the mild stuff. You may not think it's mild, but this is the mild stuff. There are several vision quests you go through. The first one, you go on the hill. The second one, you go in the lodge. The third one, you get buried in a pit alive. And the fourth one, which very few people do, you get wrapped in a buffalo robe and hung over the edge of a cliff. Well, I was supposed to do mine to be buried. And instead, I decided to go to Peru. I ended up being buried in a cave in Peru. So I didn't get away with anything. But when you do that, first of all, the person holding your energy better be well trained or you're going to die. And second, you absolutely merge with the mother. You don't have to go out there and say, "I'm one with the mother." You know it. You know it with every single breath you take, with every cell in your body, in every frequency. And that's what this is all about. You start by seeing the aliens and disappearing and have people walk through you. I periodically, they get very frustrated because I'll take someone along to help me, and for a couple hours they can't find me, and I'll say, "Well, I was just sitting there." I can see them, but they can't see me. So this is fun because I'm able to go beyond this book with you guys and really open it up. But the book is a portal, and everything in it is the absolute truth. Period. And, you know, um, and
Absolutely.
go ahead.
No, no, I was just going to reiterate my teachings also, which are aligned with your teachings about the great mysteries that they speak about going to that quiet place, that dark place, the unknown place. We call it beyond the beyond. That's the great mystery right there. And we've been talking about the great mystery now for the last 45, last 35 minutes, right? So, right now, so the reader, the viewer is now beginning to experience just like I am, just like you're re-experiencing, re-feeling all these beautiful experiences. And so, what would you say to the reader that is the viewer now who is experiencing this and in that place of ick and like, oh, I don't know, and like, what would you in the most gentle way possible to like, be, not quite the willow stick beating type way, but just kind of like the one who's just kind of really stepping into their own, really stepping into like, I want to be here, I want to learn, I I I want to grow, I want to heal. That person right there, the one who's just stepping in here, what would you say to them right now? And including the book, and just be like,
I'd say several things. Some of it's in the book, some of it isn't.
mm,
Watch your mouth.
mm,
Watch what you
mm,
say. Eliminate the words hard, have to, can't. One of the ones that creates prayer space for me for a lot of people is it just breaks my heart. They're trying to be compassionate, but what they're saying is they're breaking their own heart.
mm,
So watch those words.
mm,
And I don't care, like I said in the book, um, I do not claim to be a Christian, but I am a Christian because I have seen him solid 3 times. I know he existed. I know what he stands for. So I am a Christian. I'm also a Lakota. I'm also, there's no limit. It all says the same. The second thing I would say to them is stop analyzing, stop trying to figure out what you should do. They say, listen to your heart. And I say, no, listen to spirit. But make sure that it is spirit and you've got yourself protected. Like spirit talks to me right here. And if that voice doesn't come from that particular spot, I don't listen to it. If it comes from someplace else,
mm,
it's got to qualify itself before I will listen, period.
mm,
You know, and trust and know we're all equal. Some of you know I had a heart attack in December of 1923. And I hit the floor and I was gone. And I woke up a couple seconds and my husband says, I'm going to take you to the ER. And I said, no, call 911 now. So 911 and time disappeared. Understand that we are 25 minutes from the hospital here. And we are an hour and a half from Asheville, which is where any operation would take place, right? The EMTs were here in 5 minutes. I have no idea how they got here, but they were here and I was in the ambulance in 5 minutes after hitting the floor. And I looked down and my body was below me and I was about 2 feet up in the air. And I said, no, I'm not leaving. Put me back. I said, I'm not going to leave my husband with this trauma. And so they put me back. And people say, you don't argue with spirit. I said, in this case, I argued with spirit. So
mm,
I had no blood in my heart for 30 minutes. And the report came back and said that I had a massive heart attack and I had heart damage and lung damage and all these things. And they wrote me all these prescriptions, which I never picked up. So about 3 weeks later, I get another report and they said, we don't understand, but we can't find anything wrong with her heart. She has no lung damage whatsoever. And we don't understand it because her heart was without blood for 30 minutes. But I ask. So the third thing is ask. Ask for what you want. And you can argue sometimes because, except for Creator, we're all equal. And so the angels have one job, some of the spirits have another job. The bear has a job. The animals can show you your medicines. They can give you different perspectives, but you are absolutely, one, good enough, and second, you are a part of Creator. End of conversation. Creator lives in you. You're an expression of that. Did that answer your question, standing there?
A little bit.
Ask.
Beautiful. You know what, I hear things too, and it's just our stories are so similar and so beautiful. And I just recognize you, I see you, and I see the places where you've been. It's just beautiful. But for the viewer here, the kind of for those kind of stepping into this for the first time, what struck me is, you spoke about frequencies, right?
Okay, slow down a little, talk a little louder because my 88-year
Okay. Okay. So you spoke about frequencies in the opening reading, right? And so what I'm hearing is the how to navigate to the frequencies that we need to not only live life but to live a good life, right? And so through the words of I won't, I can't, I wrote it down. I'm
Yeah,
taking notes too, by the way. So I oh hard, I can't, breaks my heart. You know,
those are,
to
yeah,
eliminate those things that stop this beautiful frequency from blooming within, right? So
I've got an answer for you.
okay.
What you focus on creates your life.
Mm, yeah,
So if you focus on the beautiful flowers that are blooming, if you
mm,
focus on laughter, if you focus on the fact that you have enough to eat,
mm,
always start a prayer with
ooh,
Unchi Maka Takashla Wanka Tanka, thank you.
mm, mm,
I never ask for help until I say thank you.
right.
Because wherever you focus, that's going to materialize in your life. The second thing I would say to you if someone's starting out is to remember they are enough. And we all make mistakes. And when you make a mistake, recognize it, take responsibility for it, don't blame
Mm,
somebody else.
right.
And
Mm,
as I said in that one reading, there is no time and space.
mm,
So we talk about healing our little kid,
mm,
but since there's no time and space, that little kid is not dead. It's not gone. It's still living. It's
mm.
still, and it's affecting you greatly. So, and I know this isn't about the book, but it's my favorite thing. So,
We love you.
this is me when I was
Mm,
4 years old.
mm,
She didn't feel love. She didn't feel any of those things. And so every morning I look at her, and my father had named her Ike. And I say, Ike, I love you.
Mhm.
I will keep you safe today. And I want you to know you are enough, and thank you for surviving so I can be here today.
Mm.
Then I add, if there's anything that you want me to do, please tell me gently. And she has a thing about ice cream.
Mm.
So after supper, if I do not eat a small piece of ice, I get a violent headache. So if she wants to go run in the field, I go run in the field. But this is how you heal that young trauma.
Beautiful.
Simplistically,
So, it's understanding no time, no
you
space,
love yourself.
and listening to spirit and
Mhm.
make sure it is spirit.
Mm.
And but you know, I'd like to read to you one more of these, and then anybody can ask a question.
Mm.
Are we prepared to have all beliefs stretched to the point of shattering?
Mm.
Are we willing to be like caterpillars and dissolve to nothingness?
Mm.
Because that's what you are. None of this, when I had my heart attack, none of this went with me.
Mm.
The only thing that goes with you is the love you give, the kindness you give, the recognition you give, you know. And my Celtic grandmother told me that no matter where you are, if you walk by someone, say something nice about them, whether it's something they're wearing or their hair or just it's a beautiful day. And that's it. But our egos love, they love to say give us all these titles and everything. You don't need to know what I've trained in or where I've been or except these exciting things that are fun to read about. You don't need to know that, you know?
And the other thing about that is I have personally served my elders for many years now. And there's a different perspective that comes with people once they hit their 80s. Once they hit their 90s, it's different. When they start hitting up towards 100, it's just very narrow and to the point. A lot of things are irrelevant. And like that's what you're talking about. And I've always asked people write about it, and let people know, they don't understand certain dynamics that happen at that age sometimes if they don't have an elder to teach them. So yeah, Chi-Miigwech.
Mm.
Yeah, I tell people not to worry about anything because when you get my age, you can't remember what you were worrying about it. You can't. No, I don't know what I.
Benefits of growing old. One of the benefits of growing old, I guess, huh?
Yeah, there are some, you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Okay.
We're going to
All right.
open the floor. If anybody has a question, raise your hand. If you leave a comment, I'll try to go back and get an answer for you. We're actually on one platform right now, live on YouTube, but we'll try to answer everybody's questions. But right now, whoever's in Zoom, raise your hand. You got a question? Go for it. Now's your time to shine.
Come on, Leslie, you have a question.
I knew you were going to pick on me. No, first of all, thank you so much for doing this. I got a reminder on my phone and I was like, anytime I get to hear you speak, it's gold. And I love you and I appreciate you so much. My question is, obviously this book was divine, given through you by Creator as a gift for the people. And how does it feel? Do you get tripped up by the number of books sold?
No.
Okay. Because you know how, like, I feel like that would determine whether it's successful, good or bad, right or wrong. How many people show up for the ceremony, how many people are on this call. I would take that personally, so how do you step outside of that?
Well, first of all, it doesn't matter if you leave here. That's one thing. And of course, that's my age perspective. But I trust spirit. The people that are supposed to read the book will read it. And those that and I don't want to say not ready because that sounds egotistical, but those that aren't vibrating with the book won't read it. I would like when people read it if they'd go in and put a review. That's helpful with Amazon. But I have to admit that a couple times I whined a little bit and said, I don't understand why the whole world doesn't listen to spirit, but I got over that real quick, and but when you've had a bestseller, it's a little bit more challenging to get over it. Does that make sense? But you get bestsellers by traveling and by lecturing places, and that's how you create bestsellers. Where I'm not there right now. So I'm doing YouTubes and putting things up on YouTube and whatever.
Thank you.
And I just bought a new phone. I've had one of those pop tops. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Finally got a regular phone. But you know why I got it? So at my age, sometimes when you look at an herb and somebody asks you the name of it, you know what it does, but you can't remember the name. So now I can take my phone app and aim it at it, and it gives me the name. So,
Me too.
and I can name it at a gemstone. I know what they all do, but but there is a new book. There's 2 new books coming out in the next couple months. Yeah.
Yay.
One is a children's book, and the other one is being written by elders. And I think Standing Bear, I sent you a message. If you didn't get it, I'll resend it. And it's going to be a book called Chasing Unconditional Love. And different elders that I respect are each going to write a chapter from their perspective of what unconditional love is. So I'm not retired. Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you for being here today. What you said really resonated, and I truly felt it. And I looked up your book because I had never heard of your book before, and so I'll probably check it out. And I usually listen to all my books. I didn't see it. I don't know if you have that option, but if you don't, I definitely am interested in reading it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. I did not put it on audio because when it's on audio, the portals between the chapters don't open as easily.
Ah. Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah, they don't, because you get focused on the person's, when you're listening to the audio, you're getting the person's frequency mixed up with the words in the
That
book.
makes sense.
So I chose not to do audio.
Thank you.
I know young people, they like, you know. So, any other questions? Because I'd like to read one last quote when you're done. Any other question? Michael, you haven't asked any. Where'd Michael go? Oh, there he is. You jumped on my screen. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I came in a little bit late, so I'd like to know the name of the book or the link, if you could put it into the chat so that I could copy it and send it out to other people's for them to partake in your message.
It's in chat.
I think it should be the very first message on the chat, and it'll look a little bit different.
Yeah,
Let me
because
know
I
if you
came.
don't find it. I'll work on it.
Yeah, I came into the conversation late here, so if it was previous to me coming in, it won't be showing up for me. So if you could repopulate it, that would be fantastic. I can copy it. And
You can also send me a friend request and I can send it to you directly.
on
Facebook.
we're already friends on Facebook, Barbara.
No, I said send me a request.
Oh, send it in the messenger. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, I will do.
And I can.
Definitely.
If
Is
somebody
it
could put that in the post for me, I'd appreciate.
my question? I wanted to know if it was on the bookstore like Barnes and Noble or is it just only on Amazon?
On both Barnes and Noble, and it's on
Okay,
Amazon,
great.
and it's also on several other sites on Google.
Okay, great. Good. And you wouldn't mind if I post it to different sources myself?
I love it.
Okay. Thank you for your permission to do so.
I take Sleeping Bear's book and I put his stuff out all the time because, you know. So are you ready for the Jen? Do you have any questions?
You can say Jen has her hand up.
Hi, Barbara, Grandmother Barbara. It's so good to see you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your book. I did not get a chance to read it, but I did get a chance to meet you at Serpent Mound back in 2023 and partake in one of your ceremonies that you did there. And I was just wondering if your book because I got in late too on this, so I didn't get a chance to hear everything about what you were talking about. But does your book talk about the higher realms in the dragon ceremonies and stuff like that, or because that was some of the things I think you talked about at Serpent Mound, the higher energies that come in from the universe and the cosmos and stuff. So Miigwech for being here and sharing, and thank you.
If you're interested in the Celtic, send me a friend request and send me a message. And I'll put you on the list because I'm going to start the Celtic training on Zoom in June. If you would like to, and that will cover the questions you talk about. But this book here is strictly indigenous. It's not the Celtic stuff.
Is it it's the Lakota teachings then that you were talking?
No, it's my off the wall experiences in South Dakota, Mexico, Peru, and Australia, and
Okay.
where I went, and you know, and there's portals in there and different things.
Mhm.
I definitely will order it and read it. Thank
So
you.
I'm going to leave you if nobody else has a question. Anybody else have a question? We lost somebody. Okay. To me, this is the most important thing to remember. And think of yourself as saying this rather than me. All right. I will always be with you. You can always find me where you find love. So whatever love you leave behind, whatever you love, that's where they'll find you. And if you are enough. I mean, sorry, guys, Creator doesn't make mistakes, right? So Creator created you as perfect. You are here to do exactly what you agreed to do, and you're perfect. End of conversation.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So I can't say when I was 30 and still an alcoholic that I believe that. Yeah. People see me like, if you've been at Serpent Mounds, you see me like in this native dress and saying these beautiful things. But guys, I was an alcoholic. You know, I drank. I could drink any of you under the table. You know. So I don't want people to think, that you can't have the peace and laughter and everything that I have because you're an alcoholic or because you're on drugs at the moment. Creator only creates perfection and then sends you lessons. So I love you. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Never ask anyone who walks the Lakota way or the indigenous way to talk, because they ramble all over the place. They just, right?
I think it was absolutely beautiful.
But so do the Celtic, and Celtic, of course, are also indigenous. So, and especially not especially a grandmother. Basil Braveheart was on the other night, and he was on with some others, and there were four speakers, and we had an hour and a half, and he talked for an hour and 20 minutes. So, but what he said was really special, really special. He's an incredible man. So I'm done.
I want to
thank
thank
you.
everybody that was with us today. Thank you so much for the support, and thank you for listening. Chimegwich, Kitchemanichu. We thank the host, Stanny Bear, and Serena, our sister, will be back next Sunday at the Live at 5. If you have any other information, we do have several ways to connect. I'm having a little bit of technical issues. This was live on YouTube, and we do have some other things on Facebook going on. Any way that you can reach out, just let us know, and we'll make sure you have the information. And then, of course, grandmother, you are awesome. You are awesome. Thank you so much. We will be sure to have you back, because just a wealth of a beautiful, person. And we thank you for sharing that with us. And Standing Bear, would you like to end us out?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
We're going to have a potato chip prayer.
It's a bear thing. I'm sorry. It was a bear thing. Us bears,
I called you out, Bear. Sorry.
It was a bear thing. I'm sorry. It was a bear thing. Yeah. So, it was so important about that is we can laugh after everything that we've been through and all the beautiful, and all the beautiful experience and everything that we lived through that we can still laugh. And I can laugh at myself now. So, and I can laugh with you at myself. So, yeah. Oh, my name is Michigan. Keith McWitch. Kitchi Mantu. Creator. Great spirit, great mystery. Thank you for this circle. Thank you for the words. Thank you for the gentle words. Thank you for the breath. Thank you for the life. Thank you for the fire. Thank you for the earth that was given here in this circle. Thank you for the life that was given and life that was offered. We send you out in a good way. Thank you to the ancestors who showed up, all the ancestors. Thank you for all the kind words. Thank you to Grandmother Barbara. Thank you to all those who showed up. Social media. Thank you to all those who will view this. Thank you to all those that their lives will change because of what we did here today. So let us carry on in a good way. Let us remember these words. Let us take these words out to the four winds. Let us not forget this circle. Let this circle always be a part of us. To all my relations. Oh, hope. Hi.
Bila.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Just like he says every morning in the medicine, we meet. Standing Bear has an online Zoom where he does the medicine circle, which is incredible. And as he says, the ceremony may end, but it doesn't end in you. So take what you have here and give it away. Thank y'all so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Village, thank you.